Hello. As Kyle said, my name is Kelly Dykshorn, and I am the Director of Communications here at Community Church Roselawn. This has been my church home for the past 13 years. I hope that I've met most of you here, but if I haven't, I'd love to meet you after worship service. I was originally going to stand up here and talk to you about a tough week that I had last month, but if I'm being fully honest, it's been a bit of a challenging year for my family. We've had several family members experience health-related issues. Lakeshore Bone and Joint has gotten to know the Dykshorn family really well. We've had medical emergencies with my mom and my mother-in-law. We've also experienced the loss of loved ones. Like many others, I know loss. I was in 7th grade when I lost my stepdad, Bill. I've lost grandparents. I've lost an uncle. I've lost beloved pets. I've lost a brother-in-law, and most recently I lost a brother. Through all of these many losses and hard seasons in my family's lives, God has always been faithful, and He has been a constant comfort in the midst of all of our storms. Last month, I received news that my brother, Sean, who was 24 years old, had passed away. My sister and I drove to Tennessee to attend my brother's funeral and to be there for my dad. We were already exhausted from the emotional toll of a tragic situation. But the journey itself was not without its own challenges. We drove for 7 hours when night fell, and we found ourselves caught in the middle of a severe storm. Through driving through the mountain roads, almost with no visibility, it was terrifying. I remember white-knuckling that steering wheel and privately praying to God to help us get through that storm. After miles of blindly driving in the dark, curving mountain roads, we finally came upon a white truck that was driving with its hazard lights on. I followed that truck for almost an hour, and it slowly guided us safely away from the storm. We're both so grateful for that driver, and unbeknownst to that driver, they were a true blessing in a difficult and frightening situation. The story of our stormy journey is a fitting reminder that even in the darkest moments, God is there. He knows our struggles, and He's with us every step of the way, providing us with the strength and the comfort that we need to get through it. I'm going to share something with you that isn't easy to talk about, but God has really put this on my heart. My parents had 2 children together, my sister Rachel and myself. When we were young girls, my parents divorced. When I was 17 years old, my dad had another child, my brother Sean. My brother Sean had many challenges and struggles in his life. He was a beautiful, sweet boy who only really wanted to be loved and accepted. When he was in high school, he was introduced to drugs. He wanted to be cool and he wanted to fit in, and he believed that drugs was the way to do that. With his addiction for almost a decade, but in the end, it took his life. Drug addiction is a topic that you hear about, but you never think it will hit close to home. Well, it hit a little too close to home for my family, not only once. My brother-in-law, Nick, was also addicted to drugs, and his drug addiction resulted in his health failing him. I'll never forget that day that my mother-in-law called, and she told my husband to say goodbye to his brother. We were rushing to the hospital when we listened to Nick's monitor stop beating. That was hard. When asked what happened to somebody who passed away so young, what do you say? My husband tried talking about it and opening up about it, but in the end, we stayed with the easier version to tell everyone. How do you talk about the devastation that you're trying to heal from, something that you're trying to make sense of? You see, my brother-in-law, Nick, was born in a similar way to my brother, Sean. Both were born with umbilical cords around their neck, which resulted in mental delay. Both of them just wanted to be loved and accepted, to be understood. Both of them were introduced to drugs in high school. Both my husband and I lost our brothers only months apart. It is heartbreaking to see the cycle of drug addiction continuing and the pain it causes families all around the world. We know this pain and we know this loss all too well. Addiction in all forms can carry a certain stigma. We may be quick to judge those with addiction, thinking of them as bad people, but the truth is that addiction can affect anybody. We need to show the same love and compassion as we would with any other person who is dealing with personal loss or tragedy. Have you ever felt like God has placed someone in your path at just the right moment? At Sean's funeral, just before it began, Pastor Long approached my family and wanted to share his condolences. And then he started talking about his son and his son's drug addiction and the impact that it's having on his family. I remember my sister taking her leg and bumping me with it and telling me, that's my cue. I'm going to kindly try to redirect this conversation because that was just really inappropriate, right? Or at least that's what we thought. As I was about to kindly redirect that conversation, my dad's entire demeanor changed. He sat up straight. He looked at Pastor Long and he said, "What is your son's name?" And then he told him, "I will be praying for you and your son." They had this real connection, and they spoke after the services. It was really neat to see. What my sister and I thought was an awkward introduction turned out to be God's hand at work in my dad's life. And it gets better. My dad has now found faith in Jesus and was recently baptized in the Cumberland River. I wasn't able to be there, but my sister and I were blessed to witness this moment of true joy through a video. As my dad emerged from that river, he raised his hands and he praised God. It was another powerful reminder that no matter what storms life brings, God will always be with us. He will provide us with the strength and comfort we need, and we can trust him in the midst of our storms.